You're listening to the Lifestyle You podcast, where we help you achieve a realistic and human approach to health and fitness by working with your body, not against it. My name is Jenna Altman, and my mission is to help you, the active woman, find a healthy lifestyle that you can consistently show up for and make decisions that align with you and your body. In today's episode, we'll be covering one of the biggest pain points I find with almost all of my clients and prospective clients: consistency. By finding more consistency, we're going to discover what works for you and what doesn't when it comes to your healthy lifestyle. Are you someone who struggles with consistency? No matter what happens in life, you're always finding your health and fitness taking a backseat to an upcoming deadline at work, maybe the kids' sporting events, or even plans that you made with a friend months ago. You often find yourself saying, I just wish I had more time in the day. And I completely get it. You're busy, you're overcommitted, you're trying to do it all. But you might actually be surprised to know that staying consistent is actually way easier than we make it. That's why in today's episode, we'll be covering tips for you to create more consistency in your own health journey without canceling those plans with your friend or missing deadlines at work. So one of the first things I want to dive into when we're discussing consistency is this concept of consistency over perfection. This is something that I use a lot in my coaching practice, and it's something that I truly believe in. So I think a big problem that a lot of people struggle with is this expectation that they hold for themselves. They think that they need to be perfect. They think that they need to show up 6 days a week to work out, when in reality, that's just unrealistic. I don't know about you, but my sweet spot is usually 3 to 4 times per week, or maybe you're somebody who's not working out at all currently. That's why it's really important to evaluate where you're at right now and come up with a cadence and a rhythm that works for you during this season of life. And that is going to change as life changes. There are going to be busier seasons where you can only get to the gym maybe 2 times a week, and that's okay. So the goal here is to find a cadence that you can be consistent with, not perfect with. Okay. Now let's dive into our tips today. So starting with number 1, scheduling workouts in. So this is a really important tool that I utilize with clients, especially those who are really busy professional women who are looking to find more time in their day and just feel like they can't fit this in despite all of their meetings and all the other things on their calendar. So actually what we do is we go into our calendar and we identify where in our work week can we actually fit these workouts in. So if you're somebody who is struggling to get 2 workouts in a week, what I would encourage you to do is actually sit down, look at your calendar, and find gaps of time that you can implement this. I want you to schedule a meeting with yourself like you would do for any other work meeting and prioritize that time for yourself. When you have it in your calendar, then people cannot time block it over you, and therefore that is the time that is dedicated to yourself. Number 2, create a habit stack. So this one's really cool, and research shows that it's just incredibly impactful in terms of building a new habit. And a habit stack is essentially stacking a habit on top of another habit that you already have. So I want you to think of your day-to-day. We'll do an example together. Maybe you're somebody who wakes up and the first thing that you do in the morning is goes downstairs, makes a cup of coffee. Then you come back upstairs and you hop in the shower. Okay, so you have these rhythms that you do consistently every day. When we create a habit stack, we're going to look for something to tack this habit onto. So if you're somebody who's making that coffee, maybe while you're making your coffee and waiting for that pot to boil, you are going to drink a glass of water. That would be a really great habit stack for you to incorporate more water into your day. Number 3. Now we're going to talk about the dial method. I've used this in other podcast episodes before. It's something that I love to talk about, but this is for somebody who feels like they need to be perfect all of the time. Now, this method is awesome if you are somebody who really struggles with that all or nothing mentality and feels like if you're not giving 100%, then it's not worth giving anything at all. And this is where we can use the dial method. So when we use our dial method, we basically have a list from 1 to 10. 10 being the absolute most that you could possibly do in your health and fitness journey. You could set them up differently, separately for health versus fitness. And if you wanted to get all nitty gritty, you can actually spell this out for yourself. But the idea and the concept here is that your 10 is not going to be the same as anybody else's 10. My 10 is going to look different than your 10. And what's really cool about this is that we're not going to ever turn that dial completely off to 0, even if we're doing a 1 out of 10. Even if we're doing a 5 out of 10, depending on that season of life, the idea here is that we are still moving forward no matter what. So I love this method for someone who does struggle with thinking that it has to be all or nothing and that you are unsuccessful if you are not giving 110%. Number 4, determine your non-negotiables. So this is an awesome thing that I also love to preach in coaching, and it's something that all of my clients have at some point in their journey. It does look different at different phases depending on where you're at in terms of your lifestyle, but your non-negotiables are essentially the things that you are going to do no matter what obstacles get in the way. So that's why we want to make them things that are really attainable for us, things that we can see ourselves committing to. And so this will be, think of it like your anchors. They're going to be the things that are going to ground you despite the chaos. And so a couple of simple examples that we can utilize. And again, it's going to look different for you depending on where you're at and what season of life you're in. But for me, my non-negotiables are always going to look like I'm drinking enough water for my body every single day. And for me, that looks like 100 to 120 ounces. That might not look like that for you, and that's okay. That's why it's your non-negotiables that you're going to determine, and that's going to keep you consistent. Number 5, this one really pertains to the fitness side of things, but it really is a great tactic to utilize if you're somebody who just struggles to get started. And this is go and do your warm-up. So even if you are just not feeling like moving your body and you are not feeling up for movement that day, something that I encourage you to do is just go and do the warm-up. Typically, a warm-up takes 2 to 5 minutes, maybe a little bit longer if you have a little bit more time. But the good news about the warm-up is you'll be able to tell if you actually are not feeling like working out or if it was just kind of some resistance that was building up in your mind. Because as soon as you start to move your body, you'll notice most of the time that you are now ready to go. So just do the warm-up, show up, get that done, and then you can decide if you want to continue the workout or not. Number 6, set a timer and get done what you can. So I know that this can be a little challenging for our overachievers, the people who feel like they need to do all of the things at once and have to do it 110%. Notice the theme here. If you're listening to this episode and you're like, this is so me, you are definitely falling into that overachiever mindset. So when we think about this tactic and this strategy, the goal here is to set a timer for however much time that you actually have. And if you only have 20 minutes to squeeze in a workout, that is all you're going to give it. So you set the timer for 20 minutes and you get done what you can. And when that timer goes off, you are going to feel good about what you accomplished because you only had 20 minutes and there is nothing else that you can do beyond that. But the idea here is it's great for somebody who feels like they can't get a workout in if they don't have 60 minutes or they feel like a workout needs to be this long drawn out thing when in reality it doesn't. So be productive with the time that you do have, set that timer and get done with what you can. If you are also somebody who's struggling with a little bit of resistance towards movement and you're feeling like it's just been a challenge to consistently show up for your fitness, this is a really great strategy for you as well. It almost takes that big obstacle, that big barrier to entry, it removes that from the activity and makes it more sustainable and easier for you to accomplish. And the last one, number 7, is following through on the promises that you make to yourself. This is something that I preach all of the time to my clients, but when we talk about committing ourselves to working out or committing ourselves to our health and fitness or committing ourselves to smaller actions that are going to move the dial forward or move the needle forward in terms of our health, one of the things that I love to bring up to clients is this fact that you are committing these promises and making them to yourself. So you are going to feel good when you fulfill the promises that you're making to yourself. You are not going to feel so good when you continually put yourself on the back burner. You continually forget to follow through in the commitments and the promises that you're making to yourself. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to build more self-efficacy, the belief that you can do this. And so by continually showing up every single day, whatever capacity that looks like, that is you showing up for those promises that you're making to yourself. And that is building more self-efficacy. So today's food for thought that I want you to take away with this episode is that you do not have to strive for perfection. In fact, perfection is probably holding you back in terms of consistency. So if you are able to make and take whatever you do have, whether that's limited amount of time or limited amount of effort or motivation for that day, and utilize that, you are going to be successful in this journey, and it will be a lifelong journey for you. So if you are someone who is struggling with consistency, if you're somebody who maybe needs some additional accountability, this is exactly what we do at Harvest Coaching. If you want to create more consistency, if you want to find a lifestyle that you can consistently commit to, and you want to start working with your body, then I want you to apply for one-on-one coaching. This is not a obligation to sign up for coaching now. This is just going to allow us to have a discussion around what you're struggling with and how we can help. And if you choose not to do coaching, that is totally cool. We just want to have this conversation with you so that way you can start to make some moves and start to see some progress and be more consistent in your health and fitness. So with that, my friends, that is all I have for you today. I hope that you all have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll chat with you all soon. Thank you for listening to the Lifestyle You podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a 5-star rating and review to help others discover the magic we're creating together. If there's someone in your life who could benefit from listening to this episode, be sure to forward it along to them. You can also follow me on Instagram at Jenna Ray Altman for more helpful content, resources, and good vibes. As always, thank you so much for being here.